Hey everybody, this is Abdel with the Tech Block, and today we're taking a look at the iPad mini. The iPad mini is essentially a smaller iPad 2 in many ways, except for the fact that it has a 7.9-inch display instead of a 9.7-inch display. The resolutions are exactly the same between the iPad mini and the iPad 2. However, because of the smaller screen, you're getting 163 pixels per inch versus the iPad 2's 132 pixels per inch. Now, this is a far cry from Retina if you're used to looking at, say, a third or fourth generation iPad, or say a Nexus 10. And at first glance, it's pretty noticeable, though after a few days of using it, you kind of get used to it. The device itself is actually quite light and very comfortable to hold. I'd even go as far as to say that the build quality is better than the larger iPad. In fact, it has a lot of the same design cues as the iPhone 5, including the chamfered edge and the anodized back, which is both available in silver and black. Apple spent a lot of time comparing the iPad mini to Google's Nexus 7, showing where they felt the mini was superior. One area in particular they focused on was the display size. And because the iPad mini uses a 7.9-inch display versus Google's 7-inch display, you're actually able to see a whole lot more. In fact, when compared side by side, the results are pretty staggering. One thing I'll give credit to the Nexus 7 though is because it uses a 16:9 aspect ratio display versus Apple's 4:3 aspect ratio, it's actually a lot easier to hold in one hand when you're holding it in portrait mode. For some people, it might not make a difference, but for me, I noticed that the Nexus 7 was a little bit easier to hold. Performance on the iPad was really great. Pages loaded up quickly, and using the device was really no different than an iPad 2 or 3. I found that apps opened up no problem, and I was able to play games without any issues. And speaking of apps, one of the big things that the Mini has going for it is the more than 275,000 apps that are specifically tailored for the iPad. And this is one thing that really allows the Mini to stand out from devices such as the Nexus 7. For example, if we take a look at Flipboard here, on the Mini, it's a full tablet experience. It's exactly what the experience is like on a larger iPad. Whereas on the Nexus 7, it looks more like a blown-up smartphone app. And that's one thing Apple really has going for it. Another way Apple is setting itself apart is in price, where the Nexus 7 and many other 7-inch tablets are pricing themselves right around $199 to start. The iPad mini is starting at $329, and for some people that may seem like a lot. In fact, I actually think this is somewhat telling about how Apple sees the iPad mini. Apple believes that its tablet is superior to the competition, and because of that, the pricing seems to reflect that. The company has also said that it doesn't see the Mini as a compromised version of the iPad 2, but rather a concentration. And a lot of those things show when using it every day. In the end, the question to ask yourself is it really worth spending the extra $129 to get into an iPad mini, say over a Nexus 7 or a Kindle Fire HD? And it really all depends on how you use a tablet. But if you're looking for a high-quality tablet capable of running thousands of apps, has a larger screen, better cameras, and an LTE option, I really don't see anywhere else you can go.